Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Mi channel. Aokiji, the double, triple, quadruple agent, will finally join the Straw Hats, and I'm going to show you how this is going to happen. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, the story of One Piece is marked by twists and turns, and by characters whose motivations can change at any moment, which keeps fans constantly on edge. One of the characters who has generated the most speculation throughout the most recent arcs is Kuzan, better known as Aokiji, the former Marine Admiral. His involvement with Blackbeard after leaving the Marines, along with his mysterious behavior, made it clear that he does not fit neatly into the usual antagonist mold, nor into the classic definition of a hero. What is really going on with Aokiji? Is he on the right side of the story, or does he have other, more subtle plans that could lead him to collaborate with the Straw Hats? For a long time, Aokiji was one of the most respected figures within the Marines. As an admiral, he showed a more thoughtful and calm approach, contrasting sharply with figures like Akainu, who represents absolute and ruthless justice. His philosophy leaned more toward gentle justice, something he believed was essential to dealing with the chaotic world of One Piece in a more humane and less rigid way. However, everything changed during the clash between Aokiji and Akainu in the battle for the admiral position, a conflict that not only marked a turning point in Aokiji's career, but also led to his decision to leave the Marines. Unable to follow Akainu's beliefs, Aokiji chose to walk away, leaving behind his rank and his alliance with the organization he had served for so many years. This moment of transition was crucial for the character, as he distanced himself from the Marines' rigid ideology and began acting on his own terms. Aokiji's departure from the Marines was not just a matter of pride, but a strategic move to align himself with his own goals, without the need to follow the commands of figures like Akainu or Sengoku anymore. But what did he want after that? No one knew for sure. The big surprise came later, when Aokiji was seen in the company of Blackbeard, one of the most dangerous and ambitious pirates in history. The fact that Aokiji had allied himself with Blackbeard sent shockwaves through the world of One Piece. After all, he had been an admiral, someone who represented justice in the fight against pirates. By joining Blackbeard, Aokiji seemed to be taking a step completely opposite to his past. Since his appearance alongside Blackbeard, many have questioned what he was really doing at that moment. Was he truly working with Blackbeard, or was he merely infiltrating his crew? The alliance between Aokiji and Blackbeard seemed disconnected at first glance, since Aokiji was never someone who aligned himself with an ideology of pure cruelty or chaos. However, the truth may be far more complex and strategic than it appears. Aokiji is a man of strong convictions, but he also possesses exceptional intelligence and is known for being extremely cautious in his actions. He is not the type to jump into situations without considering every possibility. We know that after the battle against Akainu, he did not simply withdraw from the world, but instead sought to better understand the different groups and forces that were operating within it. It is possible that Aokiji approached Blackbeard with the intention of understanding his plans and perhaps finding a way to bring him down from the inside. We know that Blackbeard, with his massive ambitions, is constantly seeking more power, and an alliance with someone as skilled as Aokiji could have been a calculated move for Aokiji to buy time and infiltrate the pirates' inner circle. He would not be the first to do this, as espionage and infiltration have always been strategies used by characters in One Piece to achieve greater goals. However, another possibility is that Aokiji joined Blackbeard for a more pragmatic reason: survival. The world of One Piece is unforgiving, and characters like Aokiji, who for a time stood on the side of the Marines, can be seen as natural enemies by other factions. Therefore, an alliance with Blackbeard could be a way to ensure that he maintains a position of power, or at least protection, while he plans his next moves. Now, let's explore one of the most intriguing possibilities. Could Aokiji eventually join the Straw Hats? We know that Luffy, the captain, values freedom and justice, something that resonates strongly with Aokiji's philosophy. Even though Luffy follows a more chaotic and adventurous path, he has never been someone who submits to the oppressive system of the Marines. In a way, that is something that connects the two of them. In addition, we have to consider Aokiji's behavior after leaving the Marines. Although he allied himself with Blackbeard, there is little clear evidence that he has fully committed to the pirates' ideals. The truth is that Aokiji has always maintained a certain emotional distance from the ideologies of the organizations he has been involved with, and that is something that could lead him to align himself with a freer and less oppressive group like the Straw Hats. Another interesting point is how Aokiji has always been someone who respects individual freedom. He has never been the type of character to blindly follow orders from a higher authority, and this may be what draws him closer to the Straw Hats than to Blackbeard, who is a figure of absolute and controlling power. The relationship between Aokiji and Luffy, therefore, may be more relevant than it seems. Even if Aokiji became involved with Blackbeard for strategic reasons, he may end up finding himself more aligned with the Straw Hats as the story unfolds. Luffy, with his carefree nature and focus on freedom, is exactly the kind of leader who could captivate someone like Aokiji, who deep down still believes in the importance of doing things his own way, without being tied down by rigid systems of authority. Of course, we are still in the realm of speculation. Aokiji may simply be playing a double game, working with Blackbeard to achieve some greater objective. However, there are enough clues to suggest that his alliance with the Straw Hat Captain could be more than just a remote possibility. The truth is that, as the story develops, Aokiji's choices may reflect a deeper shift in his worldview and in how he wishes to interact with it. This move would be a kind of reaction to the injustices he has experienced throughout his life, both within the Marines and from witnessing the actions of pirates like Blackbeard. Aokiji has a complex character, and he understands just how flawed the world system truly is. Perhaps deep down, he intends to change things from the inside, even if that means going through unusual or ambiguous alliances. Even so, Aokiji's nature as a character leaves room for many possibilities. If he were to truly join the Straw Hats, the crew's dynamic would change considerably. Aokiji's experience as a former admiral and his immense combat ability could become a major asset for Luffy and his crew. But at the same time, his past and his connection to Blackbeard could create distrust, especially among members like Zoro, Sanji, and even Robin, who tend to have a more cynical view of alliances and betrayal. And it is precisely this kind of internal conflict that makes Aokiji's story so fascinating. He is undoubtedly one of the most interesting and enigmatic characters in the series, and his journey through alliances and betrayals may be one of the keys to the future of One Piece. The first reaction from many One Piece fans would likely be shock. As one of the greatest figures of the Marines, a man who once embodied the justice of the world government, Aokiji joining Luffy's pirates would be a massive twist. What initially seems like an unlikely alliance could, however, turn out to be something far more strategic and necessary for the story's evolution. If Aokiji truly joined the Straw Hats, he would bring with him vast experience and knowledge about the Marines, the world government, and even other powerful forces like Blackbeard. His intelligence and abilities would be a huge advantage, but the central question is how this change would be received by the rest of the crew. Luffy, as always, would probably react in a direct and spontaneous way. Despite his impulsive nature, he always tries to do what he believes is right, even if that means welcoming former enemies or people with controversial pasts. He holds onto a vision of freedom that goes beyond factions or systems of power. When he befriended Jinbe, the Fishman, it was more because of shared ideals than absolute trust. In Aokiji's case, Luffy might see someone who, despite having been an enemy, still shares his worldview, a kind of justice that does not submit to authoritarianism. On the other hand, Zoro and Sanji, who are more skeptical and have a more pragmatic view of who deserves trust, would likely be more hesitant. Zoro, as a focused warrior deeply loyal to Luffy, might initially question the alliance, not because he doubts Aokiji's strength, but because he fears Aokiji may still have lingering loyalty to the Marines or to Blackbeard. Sanji, with his explosive temperament, could also view Aokiji more negatively, seeing him as a threat or someone who, due to his past associations, cannot be fully trusted. Nami, Robin, and even Chopper, as the more thoughtful and analytical members of the crew, might be more open to the idea. Nami, with her strategic mind, could see the advantages of such an alliance, especially considering the battle the Straw Hats are approaching against the world government. Robin, who has deep knowledge of history and the impact of institutions, could understand Aokiji's value, as long as he does not pose a direct threat to her friends. Chopper, being the most innocent of the group, would likely see Aokiji as a necessary ally, perhaps even treating him with a certain reverence because of his former position of power. However, the real challenge for Aokiji would be establishing his place within the crew, since he would be carrying a heavy emotional and historical burden. His status as a former Marine could cause him to be constantly watched and repeatedly questioned about his loyalties and true intentions. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.